Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Somty, of course, and you are welcome to Dates with Somty. Thank you for joining me, and let's get right into it. Today we're going to be reviewing a movie called To Freedom. Yes, To Freedom. Now this movie is a Nigerian movie. It's an amazing movie and I know you guys are going to like it. Now let's get right into it, okay? Currently streaming on Amazon Prime right now, To Freedom is a movie about love gone wrong. I have to add that part. Love gone wrong, basically. So it starts out beautifully. Tobi Adekunle, acted by Daniel Etim Effiong, did a good job with this character. Rich guy, steady life, he's your regular Lagos big boy, so to speak, okay? This guy is loaded, he has money, he's everything you want in a man, so to speak, and that's how he looks on the surface. Now he is getting married to the love of his life, Shola. Enter Osaz Ighodaro. So these two are amazing together, okay? They've had a great relationship culminating in the marriage and it's looking good. They exchange vows, everything is good, and they get home, begin their lives. Life is amazing, okay? One day, Shola decides she wants to go to the supermarket to get a couple of things, toiletries, all that ladylike things. And rather than sending the help, she decides to go. Now, gets to the supermarket, rain starts to fall, and she's trying to call him to come pick her up, and the phone is not connecting. Basically, he stops hearing her, gets to the supermarket, tries to look in for her, and she's gone. She is literally gone. She's just gone. And she was gone for over a year. From that day at the supermarket where she went missing, she was gone for more than a year. In that time, Tobi Adekunle has gone crazy. Literally, he's going livid. He's paying policemen to keep looking for her. He doesn't want to believe that she's gone. Her parents, on the other hand, have come to terms with the fact that possibly our daughter is never coming back. So they hold a funeral. And it's okay. Tobi goes, his friend, very good friend, Kewe, enter, what's his name again? Enter Esodike. So, Esodike, in the person of Kewe, is his friend. And they've been there together. They are good friends. So basically, Kewe is his friend supporting him. He goes for the burial. Life goes on, okay? Or at least he tries to move on. But it's hard for him. So basically, the storyline goes on as hard as it is. He's kind of losing his mind. It seems like he's crazy. But at the end of the day, he tries to move on. He thinks that she's still alive somewhere. Particularly because he gets a debit alert of 2 million naira. And he's logged on to Shola's email at the time. So he's wondering, if Shola is not alive, how come 2 million naira is leaving my account for her? So it's a bit confusing. And then again, he gets back to it. He's like, okay, at this point, she's alive and I need to find her. He goes to her parents' house. Basically, they recommend a therapist for him because they're like, she's gone. We've done the burial. Life has gone on. But he's like, no, she's still alive. So they recommend a therapist. He goes for therapy for up to a year. And that works out for him until he relapses again because this time he thinks he has actually seen her and he thinks she really is alive. So it's crazy. And this time he has to be confined in a psychiatric facility and he's being given medication to take. Now, this medication basically knocks him out. He says that he's at peace, but we both know that that's at peace, yeah. It's basically he's in a mind of his own. You know, his eyes are foggy all through that time. His friend Kewe comes to see him a number of times. Basically, is there for him throughout the course of the movie. And that's a good friend right there. That's a good friend. So basically, he gets him to sign over the company through power of attorney. So, Tobi gives Kewe power of attorney over the company because he's not really in his right state of mind. And in that state, Shola comes in. Oh yeah, Shola is alive, by the way. And the movie takes a complete turn because one moment ago we were pitying Tobi because he had lost his wife and he couldn't get over the grief, yeah? And the next minute, Shola comes out and she's basically telling Tobi that, do you call what we had love? Do you call what you did to me love? And all of a sudden she reveals through a series of events that had happened before she disappeared that Tobi had actually been beating her up. She was basically a victim of domestic violence, covered, disguised in the name of love. It comes out to be that Kewe has been helping Shola to disappear. because he knows that it's not the first time that Toby has domestically violated women, beat them up, and he didn't want that to happen to Shola anymore. So he helped Shola to disappear so that she could get her life back and move on. And her parents, Shola's parents, were in on it. The therapist was in on it. How we know all this is towards the end when Kewe is talking to Shola and he's like, you know what happens now? How are you going to live? What's going to happen? And then she's saying, maybe I'll just travel around for a bit, try and figure out what's going on with my life. But the fact that he's still out there, I'll never really feel safe. But he's saying he's not superhuman, okay? He's still a person. So just hang in there and hope everything turns out well. And enter the therapist, who is in the person of Beverly Osu. Beverly did an amazing job in this movie. I really loved her character in this movie. Beverly turns out to be Kewe's cousin. Yeah, that's how you know they were in on it. Basically, she's been giving him meds to knock him out and get him in a prison of his own mind, in her own words. Now, basically, all of this is so that he could sign the court documents for divorce and Shola could actually divorce him and move on with her life, which he did when he signed the documents of the power of attorney. All of that is settled and life goes on, only for them to show the final scene where the nurse gives Toby his medication. He takes it in front of her and then she leaves and he spits it out. And basically, he looks into the camera and says, "I'm coming for you," meaning, Shola, you're not safe. That's the summary of the storyline. It's a really good movie, guys. You guys need to see it. Besides, I actually know the person who wrote the movie. You know, I'm no celebrities now, so you guys are better start famsing me. Okay, now let's talk about quality of characters. Toby Adekunle's role, embodied by Daniel Etim Effiong, was amazing. And I say nothing short of amazing because we could feel his pain when he was a grieving husband. And I was mad when he was an abusive husband. Oh, I was livid. At the end of the movie, at that final scene, I was like, I hate you, this guy. I hate you. Because I've always known him to be like a lover boy in his movies. He's always had this soft heart. And out of nowhere, they bring us this curveball that he's an abusive husband. Trust me, he delivered. The expressions on his face when he was angry and he was telling her to come back to his house and he was beating her up. Oh my God, that's a good actor. Now, Shola, in the person of Osaz Ighodaro. I think it was a good show. I think she gave good delivery. But sometimes I feel like her Americana gets in the way of like the really bodying her character. But I think that she did a good job on this one. She's a fantastic actress, no cap. So I think she did a good job. Shola's parents did wonderfully well. I say that because the fact that they could keep her survival, the fact that her survival and disappearance a secret was not easy. And you could tell in the movie at the certain point that it wasn't an easy secret for them to keep. But, you know, they bodied their roles. They were typical parents, nothing too crazy. But it was a great job. I felt Shola's mother's pain when she was telling Shola that you don't have to go back to this man. This man will beat you and kill you. You don't have to go back to this man's house. But because Toby had already had Shola's father locked in prison, she had to go back to him. And he beat her black and blue. And it wasn't even funny. Then Kewe did an amazing job in the movie. I'm not even going to lie. It was a fantastic one. You could tell that this was a true friend. And I like that he didn't have to do hard guy like he usually does in his movies. Esodike is a handsome dude, by the way, I have to say. Then therapist Beverly Osu, she, as I said, her character was amazing. I don't think anyone's character fell short. I like the way the movie built. And I think it was a good movie. So you should go watch it if you haven't seen it. Now let's get into the lessons learned from the movie. Lesson 1. Now, no matter how close you are to someone, no matter how more close friend you are to the person, believe me, the parts of them that you only know because they want you to know. Your friends might be great, but might have a terrible side to them that only their significant others might know. Trust me. There are lots of stories out there where friends vouch for their friends, but their significant others are the victims of abuse. If you've seen the series Blood Sisters, the one with Nancy Isime and Enedi Malkoje in it, you'll understand what I'm saying. Deyemi, the actor in the movie, was a fantastic guy to everybody else, except all the people that he had dated, because he beat Shaggy out of them. He beat them well. Left marks, Seth, to the point where even one of them's eye disappeared. He heard that her eye had to fall off or something funny. So yeah. But his friends didn't know anything about this until later on. So same thing with Kere. Now, the only difference is somewhere in the course of the movie, we find out that Kere actually knew about what was happening to Shola, because he also knew that his friend was abusive, based on the fact that he had hid that secret for a while with Toby's previous girlfriends. You can't really know anyone, not in the way you think you do. Not really, actually. Number 2, true friendship is through thick and thin. Yes, Kere was the perfect example of a great friend in this movie. And I say great friend because I'm talking about he was a great friend to both Toby and Shola. In the beginning of the movie, we didn't know that Kere knew that Toby was abusive until later on. But Kere was a great friend to Toby. He was there through the burial, through Toby's dark moments. He literally kept Toby's business afloat in the time that Toby was grieving and going through all of that. Now, when we found out that Kere actually knew about this, and you go back to watch the beginning of the movie, you see that Kere was a really good friend. He knew everything going on with Shola, but he's still stuck by Toby's side. I don't know what you would call that. He might be trying to keep his enemy closer and all of that, but he was a good friend. You can't deny that. He was a good friend to Shola as well. It took a lot of courage for him to decide to do something about it, to go against his friend Toby and do something to save his friend Shola. It definitely was a bold move by Kere, and that move literally saved Shola's life. Number 3, sometimes there are no red flags of domestic violence or abuse or anger issues before the marriage. Now, I know you're probably listening to this and you're wondering, aren't there? Or is it that she was too blind? She was too in love, so she was blind to it? Maybe that's also a possibility. But the thing is, Toby actually never hit her until they got married. And there are lots of people who can testify to this in real life. A lot of people have experienced this as well. That in the course of dating, nothing comes up. No unnecessary abuse, no domestic violence, nothing. Sometimes it actually happens. That there is no evidence of violence, nothing like that. Everything goes smoothly until they get married, and then the guys realize, well, she's not going anywhere at this point. She's stuck with me, and I can do whatever I want at this point. And probably that's where Toby's head was at when he slapped her for the first time. Now, if you watch that particular scene, now play. He gave her a compliment like, you are the most beautiful woman in this world. And she's like, oh, shut up, you liar. Something along those lines. And he's like, did you just call me a liar? And she's like, I mean, in the whole world, really? And then he slapped her across her face and said, you disrespectful bitch, or something. Believe me, even I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. And I believe that was the beginning. And after a while, she couldn't take it anymore. So sometimes there are no red flags, but it's still important to be very observant when you're in a relationship, because you're the one who's going to end up in that marriage at the end of the day if it's abusive. If you're looking to get married, be intentional about observing these little things. People would say even push the guy to anger. Push him, push her, so that you can see the extent in which they would go if they're angry or when they're angry, because they will be angry in the marriage. Every day won't be rosy. So they will be angry at several points in the marriage. And you need to know how far they would go. So yeah, sometimes there are no red flags. And probably this was the situation. But it's still more important to keep your eyes and ears and heart open. Number 4, marrying rich is not always a plus. It's not, particularly in this movie. Now, Toby had a lot of money in this movie. Even the aura in which he would say Toby Adekunle, you could tell that he was proud of the fact that he had that kind of money. Now, if you've seen The Men's Club, also showing on Amazon Prime, you will have an idea of what I'm talking about if you know Aminu Garba from The Men's Club. So just Imagine that kind of person, but this time in a Yoruba demon, because that's what Toby was at the end of the day. So it was crazy, basically. I'm going back to say marrying rich is not exactly a plus, because it was because of Toby's money. Toby's money, Toby's connections, Toby's reach. That was the reason why Shola felt that no matter how far I run, he is still going to find me, and I'm never ever going to feel safe. Shola was not born Talika now. Shola was not born into poverty. Her family was also rich and influential. But Shola's family money compared to Toby's money was literally nothing. And he showed her that after he locked her father up, when her father came to have him arrested for beating up Shola, he made it clear there and then that you fit get money, but trust me, you don't get money reach me. So even after everything was over, Shola still said, as long as he's alive, I will never feel safe. And she was right. Remember that he had also done this to other women, according to Kewa, so it wasn't his first time. But a big reason he was able to get away with it was because of his money. And this time Kewa said, I'm not getting into this ship with you. You're going to ride this one out on your own. I'm going to help my friend Shola instead. And he asked himself a question, that do I want to be a good friend or do I want to be a good human being? For me, that was the deciding moment when he chose to pick a side, and he chose Shola's side. So yeah, marrying rich is not exactly a plus. It's really not, particularly not in an abusive relationship scenario. Lesson 5 and finally, oh, this video is getting long. Lesson 5 and finally, it takes bravery to walk away from a marriage, from an abusive marriage. It takes bravery to walk away from an abusive marriage. Shola was very scared at the beginning, but she obviously did it, and it worked for her in the long run. It wasn't easy for Shola, and it's never easy for any woman who walks out of an abusive relationship or marriage. And this is because they're falling in love before these people start showing their true colors. So at the end of the day, it's hard for them to start saying, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm out. It takes a lot of courage. In one of my videos on Instagram, I talked about how marrying a rich man is not the only thing people should pray for. Marry a rich man that has a good heart, because if he doesn't, you're going to suffer for it in the long run. Because the thing that now makes it really, really hard for you to run away is because they are people of power and influence, and they usually have a good reputation. And even if they don't, they use money to buy it. So they use money to clean up their dirt, pay people off to do all their dirty work. At the end of the day, their reputations are immaculate, and they drag yours through the mud. So it might be hard, and it took a lot of courage for Shola, and she eventually walked out. So if you're in an abusive marriage or relationship, I'm even going to say marriage, because if you're in an abusive relationship, why are you still there? Just walk away. Except you don't want to leave, because you're one of those women who say it's better to cry in a Bentley or in a Benz than to cry on an Okada or in a Danfo. Well, to each their own. But I will say this, at the end of the day, it is your life. And because it's your life, you're the one who gets to pay for it at the end. You're the one who gets to bear the consequences at the end. Walking away is the best choice every time. So I'm going to end the video on this note. Thank you so much for tuning in for Dates with Simti. I'm going to catch you on our next date, and this time hopefully we'll bring food. Hopefully we'll bring food. But yes, I have had such a great time talking to you guys. If you have seen the movie, brag about it in the comment section. Tell me your thoughts about it. Do you agree with the characters? Do you agree with the lessons? Let me know in the comment section. From me to you, catch you in my next video.